This is episode 174 of Super League Pod, where 90s nostalgia takes a funhouse turn. We clear up why Tim is so happy to be down at Coventry this year. We campaign for Denver, and we bring you all of your views on a full weekend of action. Strap yourselves in for your favourite podcast, the Super League Pod. So welcome along everyone, it's episode 174 of the Super League Pod. This is your host Mark, Wigan Warriors fan, joined this week again by special co-host Tim G, who is a Hull KR and sort of Coventry Bears fan. How you going, Tim?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, I had a good week, quite quick, went quickly. Obviously we recorded on Tuesday, so it did fly by a bit, and then had a nice day yesterday at Coventry, getting the win over Pilkington, which was good.
Yeah, a few hairy moments in that one, I'm sure, but we'll get onto that later on.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome along to listeners old and new. As Tim mentioned, we only recorded on Tuesday last week, which actually kind of means that we've got no news to talk about this week, really. We've got a few scraps that we'll tick off, but it'll be a quick-fire news section. We're going to sort of round off the video ref chat that we started last week. That was started last week by Phil Nadin. We've got a couple of people who've got in touch this week off the back of that. One of them,
and it was carried on in the witness game as well.
Yeah. And one of them from Mike Dodd is really interesting because it's something that I'd kind of forgotten about. So when we get to that, you might be able to have some input on that actually because of your multi-sporting background, Tim. And we've got that, and we're going to probably talk a little bit about #GoToDenver because that's what everyone should be doing in June, or certainly all the Rugby League players should be doing, and it's getting a bit frustrating with the goings on there. So, busy, quiet week. Sorry, you said. Sorry. Right. I'll level up for the listeners. I've got a bit of a flu situation going on, so if I sound a little bit out of it, and sometimes you hear a little click, that's because I've put mute onto my microphone to cough my head off. So hopefully it won't interrupt the show too much. But we best get that away up front, Tim, because all I'm going to hear then is what was up with Mark's voice and coughing.
Yeah, no doubt the Twitterati are writing the tweets now, even though the show hasn't even been put out yet. They're getting prepared.
Yeah, even though they can't hear it, someone will be complaining about the sound already. Okay, right.
So how has your week been? Let's start with that, apart from your cold.
I had to work over the weekend, so I had to go in and do some changes to our system that we use for the team I work on at work, so that we could change some things this week, and I had to do it when no one else was in, so not that much fun. And then I pretty much had naps both afternoons, which is not like me whatsoever.
Is that a sign that you're moving out of your mid-30s and towards the later end?
I'm 33, Timothy. What's going on?
That's mid. You know, are you moving out? Or you're already older. You're already moving out your mid-30s, and you've only just got in them.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's just this little bit of a cold. Also, during the last week, it was one of my little sister's birthdays. My sister Sky was 17, and to celebrate, she had a new piercing done. And I've never seen...
I'm worried about where this could go.
I've never seen this piercing before in my life, but how do I describe this? Audio rather than visual. Sort of underneath your lips and your top lip and your gum, and there's that bit of there's a flap in the middle that kind of...
A sort of... I really don't want to use... I don't want to use the word. It's almost like a banjo string.
That's yeah. So that she's got that pierced. See, no one can see it unless she shows you, because she has to lift up a top lip to show you.
There's a girl in Marks and this is the most middle class thing possible. There's a girl in Marks and Spencer's in Swindon who has exactly the same piercing, but you only see it when she smiles.
Yeah, it must be so
and it's only,
aggravating.
you don't see it, and then as she says, "Oh, goodbye," it's like, oh. Forgot that.
Well, yeah, I'm not a fan, but each to their own. And she's blazing her own trail. Is my sister? So happy birthday to her again. Yeah, that's pretty much been everything I've been up to. Have you had anything of note?
Not especially. Busy time at work. Similar. And it's just been kind of knuckling down to get that done, really. Saturday, I just chilled out, didn't do a huge amount, did some stuff around the house.
You mean you spent the day at the weekend not watching a sporting event?
Well, no, obviously I got a little bit... I wasn't at one, but I did get some stuff in. I did... Because it's international weekend, you see, for football, so that's no, there was no football on.
Wales are in the China Cup final today, weren't they? I mean...
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. That was probably going to be tomorrow's treat because Brentford's Chris Mepham was in the squad as well.
Wow, double.
So he made his debut on Thursday when they beat China 6-0. But then going to watch that. I've managed to actually completely avoid it so far. So that's been good. Yeah, and then I did watch a bit of the free sports coverage on Saturday afternoon. Flicked between that and the boat race, which was. Okay, as soon as you realise they're not going to sink, it kind of loses interest, doesn't it?
The water was far too still this year. There was never going to be any exciting drama, was there? Really?
There was one bit where it looked like they might steer into each other, but that's about as much as it got my excitement. I'm not a huge one for such things, but it was it's an enjoyable thing and it was on. But yeah, and then had an early start Sunday morning when I went up to Coventry because the rail replacement bus works, so had to get up a little bit earlier than I was expecting, and then I managed to break Instagram, which was quite good.
Oh yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. So as listeners might know, the Super League Pod Instagram page is kind of an open house for the regular listeners or the contributors like Tim, a co-host, to get involved with. But because you live in such far-flung place as the south. It wasn't having it when you tried to log in because it thought, who's this logging in from somewhere so far away from the Northern Powerhouse?
It's a shame. I was taking all these nice little touristy photos around Coventry and doing little ones, and then I thought, I'll upload one now. Went to do it, and then nope, broken, and then went and stopped in IKEA for a couple of minutes, and then thought I'll try again on the Wi-Fi there. Nope. Didn't want to do it.
Whereas the problem was I was getting these codes sent through to the email, but I didn't have my phone on because I was sat at work doing. Well, I didn't have my phone. I wasn't checking my phone because I was busy at work. So we'll sort that out for next time, and we'll get some Coventry. We'll get some pictures from the Big Butt. That's what I'm going to start calling the ground.
The Big Butt.
The Big Butt. Yeah. Not you, the stadium, Tim. Obviously.
I mean, there's enough around. It's...
Okay, so. We've had tons of stuff, like what we just covered off. Last week, Tim, at the end of the show, we teased that I'd forgotten about the funny injuries, but you said you'd had a couple that you wanted to mention. And we did have one in during the week last week that I forgot to include in the show, so I apologise to Darts already, but at Mitchell Darts on Twitter if you want to get your fill of Darts and Simpsons puns linked to Rugby League, then that is the account to follow. Anyway, he said... I've never forgotten David Kidwell in the mid-2000s, who hardly missed any games in the previous years, tripping at Easter, tripping over, trying to avoid his daughter in the backyard, but doing medial and cruciate and missing the rest of the season. So,
ouch. That's quite impressive for just avoiding your daughter. Yeah,
that's extreme.
So I've done a couple. One of the more sporting ones was I was warming up playing a volleyball match, when I used to play volleyball, and went to just pass a ball, just an arm pass, didn't bend my legs, just in a little circle because you warm up, you sort of do it in a nice little circle and run round, and tapped into this tiny little guy, Gary, and it was just really delicately tapped him as we both went for the ball. Didn't think of anything of it. Kind of thought, oh, my arm feels a bit sore, and wonder what was going on. Anyway, 5 minutes or so into the warm-up, I just said, this is getting really painful. So sit out and said, right, okay, I'm going to have to go home because this is horrible. So didn't make the match. And then go to hospital the next day and find out I'd broken the first 2 ribs just under my collarbone. Wow. So as I tapped him, just tapping wrist, just like that, and the force of that had travelled up my arm, and then broken the first 2 ribs, which was pretty horrible. And the more funny one, so apologies to people that know this one, was when I was 13 or 14. We were on holiday. My parents were I'm part of a snorkeling club, so I go snorkeling and diving around the UK. And we were part of this club even then. We went on a group holiday, so we were down in Dorset, and we had a pillow fight, as you do when you're a bunch of teenagers with not a lot else better to do. The pillow fight spills over, on outside. Then I'm running on the wet grass, slip over, broke my ankle in 2 places.
Whoa.
What's worse?
Who knew?
From a pillow fight.
That is dangerous sport.
What's worse is my parents insisted it was a soft tissue injury, I could walk it off. So they made me walk down to the beach. I didn't get to hospital till the day after because they said, "Oh no, it'll be fine. You just sleep on it. Take a couple of paracetamol and sleep on it."
Don't be so soft, Tim.
So there I actually didn't sleep all night because I was in that much pain that I couldn't sleep. And then, oh yeah, you've broken your ankle in 2 places. Nasty. So that's just a couple of them. So
you were quite an injury-prone fellow then?
Yeah, I'm not quite Sean O'Loughlin, but I'm getting close.
The last injury I had was I tweaked a nerve in my sort of upper back, leaning into the boot of Liam's car to get Flask when we were on the way to a game last season. The last injury I got. So there we go. Right, okay. So if anyone's got any other funny injury stories, either of their own or of Rugby League players, then do send them in because they're funny. Phil Nadine replied to you from last week because you were kind of getting a vision of what Phil's life in the truck is like, Tim. But he said, "I hate to disappoint, but I'm not a fan of the Yorkie bar. Just malt loaf, tea and chicken wraps. I might have the odd Mars bar once in a blue moon. Sorry, Tim."
Fair enough. I mean, to be fair, I can't actually remember the last time I had a Yorkie. Probably when I used to have them a lot when I was in sixth form college for some bizarre reason, but I have no idea why. I think that's when they brought out the purple one with the raisins in.
Back at that sort of age, I used to love a drifter, and then I hadn't had one for years. Yeah. Then at work the other day, they had one of these, things that your employer does to try and get everyone more engaged and all that sort of stuff.
Forced fun.
Yeah, sort of. And the briefing session about it all had choose your own chocolate bar spread out in front of you, and one of the options was a drifter, and it was delightful. Should have made that my recommends that week, actually.
Good for dunking. You can't beat a drifter for dunking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. That could have been my recommends, but we'll find something else instead. And right now onto the video ref chat. And if you haven't got in touch this week with your video ref points of view, then you've missed out until at least the Magic Weekend. After the Magic Weekend, we may reopen the video ref discussion for 2018, but it's parked until then. After we've gone through 2 really good, broad-ranging views. Really, we start with our old mate David Cantrell at Dr. Hideous on Twitter. And he says, "I watched lots of matches in both codes and far prefer Rugby League's current way of handling the video ref because decisions are made quicker." Big asterisks on that, costs of the the first decision of the video ref that was made after Dave sent that tweet last week was the Daryl Ulfert Swan Salford against Widnes, which took about 6 years.
What annoys me with those is when you see the touch judge in the way. And you think, well, if you're in the way, you've probably had a better view of it than any video camera that's anywhere nearby. So one potential solution, for TV games, could they give the ref cams to the touch judges?
I think the problem is the touch judge tends to be looking at where the ball is and not where the feet are, or vice versa. And even when they're very close together, because they're so close on top of it, it's hard to see both, isn't it? I think that's the drawback there. Then Mike Dodd got in touch with an email, and it's a really good one actually, and it's thrown up a couple of things that I hadn't really thought of. So he says, "Hi Mark and Tim, a quick comment going back to last week's discussion on video referrals. Mark mentioned the only team sports that use video referrals tend to be slow paced or have distinct pauses within the game, which allow reviews to be made. However, a very fast-paced sport which does use video referrals is hockey. I'm not 100% sure on the technicalities, but I think it's a similar type of system to cricket and the NFL, in that teams have a certain number of reviews available to them,